It's the George Plaster Show. 30 years of the best sports talk in Middle Tennessee. Featuring Tennessee Sports Hall of Famer Watson Brown. And it's a shame it's taken this long to get an introduction for this Tennessee Sports Hall of Famer, Kelly Holcomb, along with young gun Billy Derrick. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome in. It is a beautiful Tuesday. Not as warm as yesterday, but nonetheless on a February 6th. Who is complaining? Got a good show for you that will lead off in about 15 minutes with Tony Basilio from Knoxville. Let's check in with the panel. Let's start in Murfreesboro. Kelly Holcomb, ladies and gentlemen.
George, what's up?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Well, I'm great. I mean, Billy made me go out and get these headphones, and I feel like a dork like you guys now. That's great.
Well, that's wonderful. Did you consider saying, no, I will not do that?
I did, but he said for the benefit of the show, we need you to go out and get some headphones because we're hearing an echo. I keep hearing an echo at your house, and I'm like, Billy. And then Billy, being the tech geek nerd that he is, he didn't tell me that I was supposed to have an adapter with it. So I had to, I had them yesterday, but I didn't have the adapter. So I got the adapters today. If somebody would have been on top of their game and know what they're doing, then we would have had this solved yesterday, but I had to wait till today. I still don't like them, though. I'm not a huge fan.
What is your version of this? Because clearly it's different.
Well, yeah, I've worked really hard to make sure this show is going well. Everything's good, and I think people are going to like this change. So just trying to do my job.
There's enough people listening that is hearing the echo as well. Is that what we're saying?
Yeah, the people were clamoring to get that echo out of here.
And then George, he yesterday he goes, my bad. And when I hear my bad, it takes me back to the practice field in Terre Haute, Indiana, when I'm with Tom Moore. And that was when my bad was coming of age, and all these guys, all these young receivers would say, my bad, my bad. And Tom Moore got so mad one day, and he said, I wish everybody would quit saying my bad around here and just say, I effed up. That would be much better for me.
Oh, that's beautiful. Oh, that is good stuff.
We got to get.
So that's what I told Billy. My bad. We don't need my bad, dude. No. Just say I screwed up, homie.
Yeah. Homie.
Yeah, homie. I'm taking on Ray Brewer.
Billy, what was the adapter something you forgot to tell Kelly about?
Yeah.
Or did you assume that he had some technological skills?
Well, I mean, that's on me. I screwed up there. So I'll take the blame for that. But yeah, proud of Kelly. He's upping his game up in the technological world.
Well,
that's got to be a fine, George. We've got to levy a fine on him. It's $100 from now on when something goes wrong. $100.
Relax, Francis.
Where's he going to get it?
I don't know. But it's $100 from now on, Billy. We're making precedents right here, okay? $100. Don't screw up anymore.
I need some help with that.
This comes from a guy whose pension dwarfs our paychecks.
Yeah, what's he talking about?
I mean,
why are we still talking about this? I can't touch it yet, so what does it matter? I mean, I can't touch it till I'm going to be in the grave.
It's chit chat. Okay, it's chit chat in anticipation of an award-winning update.
Yes.
Yeah, everybody says, you got all this. I don't get to touch it. I mean, you can talk about it all you want to, but I don't get to touch it. If I do touch it, then Uncle Sam's going to take the majority of it. Welcome to America.
Yeah.
Man, speaking of Uncle Sam and America, I want
to tough world.
I want to honor the late Toby Keith, who passed away today. So obviously, I think he was
serious
battling cancer.
He did.
Yeah, he looked a lot different. He had lost a lot of weight. Even his appearance looked different. So I mean, I don't think he was doing too well. But
oh wow,
had stomach cancer. I didn't even realize that. My wife told me this morning. She said Toby Keith died. And I'm like, really? She said, yeah, he's been battling stomach cancer since 2022, I guess.
Oh, that is terrible.
Yeah.
Yep.
Aren't too many else out there like old Toby Keith. So want to pay our respects. Also, college basketball last night. K-State upsets Kansas. We'll review that. George gets his victory.
W.
Tonight, South Carolina hosts Ole Miss, 5:30 on the SEC Network.
3 plays tonight, by the way.
Oh, wow.
Little chipper.
Also, the nation in town to face Vanderbilt, Kentucky.
The Mist.
Yeah, the Big Blue Mist.
Hugh Durham, I believe, was the one who coined Blue Mist.
Blue Mist. It's pretty accurate. There'll be a lot of them in town tonight. Also, Murray State and Belmont at the Curb Event Center. Big one for Belmont. They've been struggling.
That's tomorrow night.
Oh, that.
$100 right there, Billy. It's $100. Leave it on the desk before you leave with George. We'll go out to eat at St. Elmo's or somewhere. Well, we can't go to Indianapolis, but
taking on a little water, have we?
George, I don't. Okay, that is Wednesday. Okay, that's my bad. I moved over to MVC. That is tomorrow night. So
does the word C note ring a bell?
C note, baby. Let's
go.
Big
C.
Murray State Belmont tomorrow night.
Yeah. What that has to do with today's update. The two teams are practicing in anticipation of their Titanic tilt.
All right. We've also got other basketball news. Will Wade at McNeese, he just earned a 5-year extension. He's got the Cowboys at 20-3 overall, 9-1 in the Southland Conference.
Billy, whoop-de-doo. I mean, you know as well as I do, he isn't going to be there much longer.
Well, his buyout to leave for other schools has increased.
To what?
It's still not considered prohibitive for most power conference schools. It'll be about $1.25 million after this season.
Oh, good Lord. That's chump change.
Can McNeese pay that?
Hey, Billy, did you see what Jimbo Fisher got paid? These teams don't care, man. They'll go in and they'll write a check, dude.
We're not talking about A&M. We're talking about McNeese.
Yeah, but I'm saying if he wants to go to another school, all they got to do is pay it. He'll be out.
We'll see. I mean, we'll see where he goes. You think he's gone after this year, George?
I think there's a chance.
He's got there's a lot of contractual stuff with, I mean, there's the school that takes him after McNeese is going to have to deal with a lot of his crap. So I think that's.
Are we talking NCAA violations?
Yes. I heard there's a lot of stipulations to his.
Okay.
If you hire.
I got you. Yeah.
So we'll keep an eye on that. See if this 5-year extension means anything. Also, Rick Pitino in the news.
Little Ricky.
Yes. Yesterday.
What's he done?
Well, yesterday the NLRB, which I didn't mention this yesterday, but the National Labor Relations Board ruled that Dartmouth men's basketball players are employees of the school now. A ruling that could allow NCAA athletes to unionize and negotiate their work conditions. So Pitino tweeted today that the major conferences in college basketball should join forces and create a salary cap of up to $2 million. He did not specify that number would include NIL payments or funding directly for schools. He said for basketball, have the Power 5 and Big East Conference commissioners get together and create a salary cap between 1.5 and 2 million. All contracts delivered to the league and school offices.
Little Ricky has been rapping on the NCAA a lot lately.
Yep.
And what is Pitino, 71, 72?
He's up there.
He basically is giving you what else are they going to do to me? I don't give a damn. That's sort of what it feels like.
Yeah. I mean, he's been wrapped up in so many other scandals in his career.
Larry Bud is not walking through that door.
Little Ricky.
Keep going.
Commanders. They have fired Eric Bieniemy.
Gee, honk if
well, they just hired deadgum Cliff Kingsbury. So what else are they going to do?
What's interesting is that the Kingsbury news got out on Sunday night which must have had Eric Bieniemy saying
He wasn't fired yet.
The new coach is my enemy. Get it? Bieniemy, my enemy. Okay. So Dan Quinn, the new coach, admitted that, yes, he did fire Eric Bieniemy, but he did it in person yesterday.
Yep.
Which seems like a day late and maybe $1 short.
Yep.
Who knows?
Hey,
I'll say this.
Mind.
If you find out, Billy, let's just say in the future, in a media job that you may have, if you find out ahead of time that someone else is going to have your job, welcome to broadcasting.
It slipped Dan Quinn's mind. What do we want? I mean, he didn't realize that.
No, I think what happened is old Cliff got out. The Cliff Notes got out a little early.
Yep.
Yeah, Cliff Notes, he can talk.
Otherwise, in the NFL, the Eagles are going to play in the NFL's first game in Brazil to kick off the 2024 season. It'll be in Sao Paulo on Friday, September 6th.
Friday night, which
the day after the NFL kicks off on Thursday night.
Which is another sign of they're grabbing every last dollar, because there is such a thing as high school football. Now, college blurred this line, 10, 15 years ago, but this is kind of a first for the NFL to give the high schools, shall we say, the middle finger.
Yeah,
that's true.
Well, and speaking of the Eagles, we talked about Jason Kelce. Obviously, he is retired, but Travis Kelce at Super Bowl Media Day yesterday, he said that he thinks Kelce might be playing Week 1 with the Eagles in Brazil. He said he was asked about Kelce if he's going to come out of retirement. He said, "I don't know. I'm not a betting man, but I think he's got some football left in him." So his brother thinks Jason's going to play in that game. So we'll see about that.
Brazil.
In Brazil.
Yeah.
He might not want to go to Brazil, though.
That's true.
Kelly, I probably asked you this before. To me, it breaks up routines huge. And I'm guessing players don't like all this.
Yeah, it's tough. I can remember Tom Moore talking about Tom Moore. He would sit up there talking about, he would tell the younger guys that, when they're, because there used to be like 10 games. When I played, there were 10 college games, and now there's 12. But he's like, this is the end of y'all's season. Y'all are ready to go home. Well, we just now started. He would always talk about that. But when you have Monday night games, when you have Saturday games, when you have Thursday night games, it does break up the routine. And there's nothing worse in the world to an NFL guy. I mean, Monday night footballs are great. Thursday night footballers are great because you're the only game in town, but you have to sit around all day and wait for the game. Everybody wants to play at 1:00 on Sunday. That's the deal. Everybody wants to play the early game and be done with it and going about your business. But it's just something that you have to adjust to. And Tom Moore talked about it. He talked about it a lot about we just got to adjust. I mean, the NFL is going to do what they're going to do. We just got to do what they tell us to do and adjust.
In other news, going to baseball, Clayton Kershaw and the Dodgers have reached an agreement. So the structure of the deal is unknown yet, but he turns 36 years old in March. He'll take his physical at the Dodgers spring training in Glendale, Arizona within the next day or two. And he'll return for at least his 17th season with the Dodgers.
First ballot Hall of Famer.
17th?
No doubt.
Where are they getting the money, George?
They have gone to the big Dodger in the sky, the printing press, and they just, I don't know. You do wonder.
Jeez.
He's going to spend at least the first half of the year recovering from his off-season shoulder surgery. So we'll see how much he actually plays.
As much as they have done, Kelly, read my lips and read them well. This does not guarantee that they win it all.
No, absolutely not. Dan Snyder found that out a long time ago when he signed Deion Sanders and Bruce Smith and all these guys. And that does not, just because you got star talent, does not mean that you have a team.
I'd be a lot cockier about this if the Phillies didn't exist.
Phillies are y'all's kryptonite,
Oh,
dude.
my God. So are we done?
We are. I was going to ask, when do pitchers and catchers report?
Soon.
We
are today 50 days from the start of Major League Baseball. Who's counting? I'm counting. 50.
Almost
5-0.
That's all I got.
Okay, we go to Knoxville to start the show. Tony Basilio will join us, and we'll get into this whole Dartmouth National Labor Relations Board thing at the very beginning, and then get into Tennessee's big weekend in Lexington. Huge victory, as all of you know. And then during the 3 o'clock hour, we're going to let all of you hear, because a lot of you were probably driving home when they did the Roger Goodell press conference, the Q&A with selected media. We've gotten a little snooty about it. And if you're not big time, they didn't want you. You'll hear the press conference at 3. You'll get our reaction to some of it at 3:20. And there's some interesting questions, some interesting answers, and at times some gobbledygook. Stay tuned. We're coming back.
It was the most horrible experience that any mother could ever go through. I knew that I needed to get help. My friend, she immediately said, "You need to call Bart Durham." And you guys were there within an hour. You guys are like family for us.
Yeah, sure is nice to connect with the people that you're doing your best to help.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
I'm Watson Brown.
I'm Kelly Holcomb.
I'm Billy Derrick.
We're the George Plaster Show. We've been Nashville's best sports talk for the last 30 years. And you know what? We still are.
Catch us live weekdays from 2 to 4 p.m. Central Time in Nashville on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. Also, the podcast version is available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
Looking for more than just awards and trophies? Southern Trophy House is your one-stop solution. For over 60 years, their team has created lasting impressions with a personalized touch. From embroidery to screen-printed apparel to corporate awards, signs, and name badges, they have everything you need to keep your brand shining bright. With their knowledgeable customer service team, you can relax as they create, produce, pack, and ship merchandise and awards on time and on budget. That includes etched crystal awards, custom-cut acrylic, name badges, embroidered Richardson ball caps, banners, screen-printed T-shirts, laser-engraved Yeti cups, and knives. Recognize your hard-working team from Southern Trophy House, where they do their best to help you recognize your best. Located at 2705 Nolensville Pike in Nashville, give them a holler, 615-256-7295. Visit southerntrophy.com. Southern Trophy House, for all your personalization and recognition needs. Okay, we're headed to Knoxville. I want you to think about this for a second until Tony appears in the picture. There are certain sports teams that have great logos. There are others who have crappy logos. And this one he's sporting is one of the best on there. Back up just a little bit. Philadelphia Flyers. You got to love it. That is one of the all-time good-looking logos in sports. How are you?
We're back from the All-Star break, guys. I'm fired up. Fired up for some hockey tonight.
Who do they play?
I wish you hadn't asked me that. Somebody really good. We're in the stretch of like 9 murderous games in a row. We lost 5 straight coming to the All-Star break, so it's been a lot of fun.
You know what's weird? The Preds, there were 2 games last night, a bunch of games today. The Preds don't play again until Saturday, and I think this is a gap that will benefit them. I think they had some guys who need this long break.
Yeah, you guys. I think everybody gets 8 days off is the way it worked, and we were on fumes. I mean, the Flyers are dead to the world. So, and then the trade deadline's around the corner, and you guys are kind of built to win. We're sort of built to tank under a new regime, but sometimes in pro sports, people surprise you, you know? Athletes want to compete, so the Flyers have been.
In Philadelphia, if you rank the big 4, most important to the fan base to the least important of the 4, how does it rank in Philly?
It's Eagles 1, 2, 3, and 4, almost obnoxiously so, and then the Phillies, and then the Sixers, and then the Flyers. But the Eagles up there are the like people who do what I do, George. They have to talk Eagles 24/7. People who do what we do have to talk Eagles 24/7 there, and I don't understand it. Yeah.
Was it always that way?
No, it used to be a Phillies town. When I was a kid, it was a Phillies town.
Yeah.
But the NFL has just exploded. You know, in the last 40 years, the NFL has literally exploded.
Oh, it's crazy. It's unbelievable what's going on. So before we get to the obvious of what went on in Lexington, how much today on your show did you all talk about this National Labor Relations Board ruling that came down involving Dartmouth?
Not much, George, because we're focused on that NCAA deal that's taking place here and the fact that the Vols, the state of Tennessee and the state of Virginia, in one of our courts here in a circuit court in Greenville, have before a judge right now whether or not the Virginia and Tennessee are asking for a temporary restraining order against the NCAA. And if that judge rules in favor of Tennessee and Virginia, that'll be news for those states as it relates to their case on an injunction, which will be heard on the 13th of February. If the judge rules against the states, that'll be bad news and means they'll have work to do in the next week or so in order to get right. Needless to say, Tennessee, along with Virginia, but they're trying to head off the NCAA because last time we were on the air, that story had just broken and it didn't seem like much. But now it seems like the NCAA is trying to make an example of Tennessee. And what's at stake here is potential postseason eligibility, maybe right on down to Nico's eligibility. So the NCAA is not leaving Tennessee alone, even though there are things such as the quarterback at Georgia got himself a brand new Lamborghini today, which I guess Kelly back in his day probably had a car like that gifted to him during his playing days. That sort of thing's always gone on in college football. For some reason, though, they've decided to victimize the Tennessee Volunteers. It's really, really odd to see what's occurred here. And George, one of the things that I'm left with is I'm believing that because Nico looked so good on January 1st, the NCAA is back on Tennessee's step because they don't think Tennessee suffered enough. They just, the Pruitt stuff happened, and Heupel came in, flipped the script. In the midst of all that stuff, when all that Pruitt stuff was being adjudicated, the Vols went and bellied up to the bar, one of the first teams to do so in the NIL world, and went and got this high-priced quarterback. And my belief is he looked too good on January 1st.
Oh, I think there is something to it. I said it a week ago on the air. They are an incredibly vindictive group. The University of Kentucky knows it. In the mid-'80s, when the NCAA went into Lexington looking for answers to questions they already thought they had the answers to, everybody clammed up, and the NCAA went on that witch hunt that you remember Tark put out they're so mad at Kentucky, they gave Cleveland State an extra year. This has sort of that feel to it, doesn't it?
They choose their winners and losers. They always have. And we're in a spot now where, talking to our fan base, they're saying, well, let's just abolish them. The bottom line is the NCAA exists, George, because they want them to exist. The member schools want them to exist. And until this thing morphs into what it's going to morph into, we're in a spot where this kind of is what it is. And you sort of have to live with what they say. And Tennessee's in a real spot here where they've gone all in, from the chancellor to the president to the athletic director to elected officials to the attorney general of the state. And anytime you get in a court of law, it's worrisome. Now, you're playing the Washington Generals. We know eventually that the NCAA will lose this stuff. But all they have to do is win a round against Tennessee to really wreak havoc on Tennessee's program. They don't have to win the war. They just have to win one battle in court. And so it's nerve-wracking. And they'll have our hearing on the 13th here in about a week and a half.
In a court, aren't they going to have to get specific, which it doesn't feel like they have, as to what are the sins that they say have been committed here?
Well, that's a good question. I more so think Tennessee has to show how this is injurious to them, since Tennessee has invited the NCAA into their courts. So I don't think this is going to be so much about discovery from the NCAA's perspective, because here's the way this went down. My sources tell me Tennessee got wind a week and a half ago that this was going to happen. 8 days ago, NCAA investigative team showed up in Donde Plowman's office, which Tennessee was alerted the week before, later in the week, this was going to occur. They began to tell her what she didn't want to hear. She basically told them to get the hell out of her office. She then fired off what we saw when the story broke the next day.
Yeah.
That reply to Baker at the NCAA headquarters. And then they got their apparatus in gear across the state and went scorched earth, unlike anything that, I don't think any of us have ever seen anybody respond to the NCAA the way Tennessee did. But then they had as they asked for their this court appearance, there was a TRO that went with it, which ended up being heard. And then the injunction case was scheduled on Friday. Saturday, the NCAA answered Tennessee and Virginia, and what they said to Tennessee was, "That's funny. You're angry with us in your message to us because we're trying to uphold your state law. You've got laws against this on your books," which I don't know that Tennessee they acted, talking to the legal community here, the belief is maybe they acted a little haphazardly. Maybe should have changed that law before going scorched earth. But as it is, I mean, that's a minor detail, but it's still an interesting aside here that probably optically doesn't look all that great. So, look, anytime you get into court, I mean, anything can happen. And I was laughing about this thing a week ago, George, and I'm not laughing right now. So
yeah. So much for Lexington for the moment. Kelly, you're hearing all this. I'm sure you've got some questions, some thoughts for Tony, so jump right in.
Yeah, I was just Nico's eligibility. I mean, is that on the table? Is that what we're talking about here? I mean, are they talking about doing something to that kid? Do we know?
Anything's possible. I think he's a focal point here. And people I talk to, Tennessee's fear is that eventually they come to them and say postseason ban. And if that occurs, there's two things, right? The Nico piece. What if they say to Nico, to Tennessee, you're suspending him? Tennessee's so defiant right now that they might say we're going to play him anyway. Say they say to Tennessee, you're banned from the postseason. If that were to occur, there's a concern to Tennessee that athletes would jump and would leave. And see, I'm of the belief right now in the opinion that the NCAA wants to make them hurt because they didn't hurt. They didn't suffer pain. I mean, here the Pruitt thing was heard last year, and Tennessee's 8-1 to get to the playoff this year by Vegas. They got the 14th best odds to win a national championship. Offshore, preliminary numbers. And so the point is, and then Nico played before a huge crowd on television. People wanted to see a star player play, and I think he looked too good. I really do. I'm not here to cry conspiracy, but George said it, and we've both been around a while. These NCAA people aren't wired like most normal people. These are ideologues, these are scorekeeping people, and these are vindictive SOBs. That's who they are.
So, Tony, what's happening with recruiting with this? I mean, are you hearing anything about the recruiting? Because I'm just sitting here wondering when y'all were talking, I'm just thinking to myself, with the NIL stuff and all the money, and we know that UT spent a lot of money last year on the NIL stuff. So are kids, like, if they get a postseason ban, are kids really worried about that? And if they get paid a lot of money, I'm to the thinking right now that a kid, it doesn't even bother a kid. Okay, well, I can't go to the postseason, but I'm still getting paid all this money. I mean, have you heard of anything with recruiting? How's this affecting it?
It can't be good. Anytime you throw uncertainty into anything, if I'm a rival recruiter, I'm using it against them. And they had great momentum, and you can tell by looking at me, guys. I've been bathing in this, and it's very frustrating because, look, we get into sports talk sports, not the law, not politics. When you start dealing with the NCAA, you're dealing with a little bit of everything, including the political world. And Kelly, you bring up a great point. That's part of the reason why Tennessee is seeking from this judge right now a temporary restraining order until their case next week on the 13th. Now, he could have ruled yesterday. He didn't say anything. We were expecting something to come down today. It's midday. We still haven't heard anything, or it's late in the day in the Eastern time zone. And we still haven't heard anything. So good sign, bad sign, somewhere in the middle sign, I don't know. But in a perfect world, tomorrow's signing day, and if the Vols are going to add some people, and they're going to add them with NIL considerations, you would want the courts to say, hands off NCAA, you can't touch them. They're allowed to operate as they've been operating. And now I don't know where any of that is in terms of procedurally. So it's really silly. I mean, think about juxtaposing what's going on at Georgia, where a guy bought himself a brand new Lamborghini today. Obviously a 7-figure, what that kid's getting paid down there. And I don't think any of us care about that. I mean, it is what it is. No class warfare here from my perspective, but there is class warfare when you start saying you can do it, but you can't. And the reason you can do it is, well, you can do it because you didn't have a coach that cheated. I mean, come on. You guys don't think Georgia in the old way, think they amassed that roster off Kirby Smart's good looks and his Sports Clips haircut and the way he looks in his visor? I mean, give me a freaking break.
Sports
Kelly,
Clip
you've been
haircut.
around
I
the
like
block
that.
a time or two.
Yet I just don't understand why they're, like you said, you don't think that UT's been penalized. They obviously don't think UT's been penalized enough, but I don't understand why there was no rules with this stuff. They didn't have any rules in place. So, like, why are they trying to come back on it now? And why are they trying to treat Tennessee like this? I don't get it.
They got out of jail too quickly. I mean, George believes that. I'm telling you, I can tell by looking at George, he believes that. That's my theory.
Well,
I mean, it makes as much sense as anything.
I go back to the thing in the mid-'80s because it ultimately led to CM Newton going to Kentucky, because Kentucky realized when that package opened in mid-flight, that was the NCAA's finest moment. We have finally got Kentucky. They got no recourse. And so Kentucky then had to fall on the sword and try to find the cleanest apple they could find, CM Newton, who at that point was Vandy's basketball coach and ends up going to Kentucky. I mean, listen, Tark had his moments, but it's one of the all-time great quotes. So mad at Kentucky that they tacked on an extra year on Cleveland State. Here's the other thing, and I don't mean to butt in, Kelly, on your stuff, but this feels a little bit like the NCAA saying, we're not done yet, we're back in the game kind of stuff, doesn't it?
I don't think there's any doubt about that. And people who are tracking this say that Tennessee is one of, so far, they went after the Rashada kid at Florida and got him to talk. So they did a few things to Florida. Florida had to disassociate an athletic department administrator who was interfacing with their NIL group. They reformed a new NIL essentially down there. So they're buying players. Florida State had to do scholarships, whatever it is, some silly nonsense.
Play
now
that
they're on
tomahawk
Tennessee's
chop
doorstep.
one time less.
But now they're on Tennessee's doorstep. Apparently, and I say apparently, don't quote me on this, okay? Because I don't know. I'm just telling you what I read and being immersed in this. There are several other schools that eventually they're going to visit. I think Ole Miss probably one of them. Who's gotten all these players out of nowhere. They've gotten all these players like Reverend Freeze is back there, if I can pardon the pun. Maybe A&M, maybe Texas. I don't know.
Not Idaho.
I don't think. I think my Temple boys are safe up there in Philly, George.
Having seen some of their games this year, there's no problems. If they are cheating, they're not doing a very good job with it.
That's exactly right.
So I was about to ask, do you during times like this have a go-to attorney that you have on the air?
Yeah. So Marcos Garza was on with us yesterday, and he called me last night. And he is a great attorney. And he was on with us yesterday, and I happened to catch him on his birthday. And I caught him in the morning, a couple hours before the deal, and he read up on it. And those guys just have the aptitude, to cut through things, the great ones. And he called me last night, and he said, man, I have just been bathing in this after it's fascinating. And I said, Marcos, there's a lot of things I would call this. Fascinating is not one of them. But I guess when you're in the law, it is fascinating because truly, and the way he was talking about last night, if that court, if they find in favor of Tennessee and Virginia, this could really bring on knocking down the gates of the NCAA. And this could be a huge flashpoint case here, what we're looking at.
What else is the attorney telling you?
That it's 50-50. He said
Wow.
55-45 in favor of the Virginia, Tennessee, in favor of those states with the NCAA. But he said, but both briefs make pretty good points.
Does he know much about the ruling judge?
He knows the ruling judge. They worked on cases together in the past. Called him a very fair-minded, very even-handed, very serious person. There were some in Tennessee social media, X, Twitter, what have you. Hey, let's go up and have a rally and a tailgate outside the courthouse. And Marco said, listen, he said, I know this guy. He said, I would highly, highly advise against that. A very serious person will not take kindly to you showing up on the doorstep looking to influence their court. That's not going to fly. Fun, isn't it, George?
Well, I know a little.
That win at Kentucky and all that. You know that win at Kentucky was fun. We had a watch party, and I was on to 1:30 Eastern time taking calls. And I had a young guy in here, Alex Myers, and Alex tapped me on the shoulder and he goes, it's 1:30, right? And I went, no, actually I don't, but it's time to quit. If it's 1:30, it sure is time to quit.
So, Tony, I had one of those kind of deals the night that we did the rally to try to keep the Predators here.
Yeah.
We were supposed to go off the air at 9 p.m. And I kept looking at my watch, and our engineer comes up to me about 8:30, and he goes, I know you like a book. And he goes, we are not going till midnight. And he said, if we do, and he pulls out this little Bic lighter, and he goes, turns that light on. He goes, I will light your ass into oblivion.
How long did you end up staying on, George?
9 o'clock.
Well,
I didn't want to be lit up. Look, I'd been there since 4 a.m.
Oh, wow. Because if you were left to your own device, us radio guys, when you get out in front of a parade, it's what you dream of. As a kid, it's what you dream of. When you aspire to do this and to get.
Yeah.
I'm sitting there going, man, I'm like in my house and I'm in my home studio and people are calling from all over the world and we're celebrating. And the guy goes, because he had to drive across town. Tap me on the shoulder. Tap, tap, tap. It's like 1:30 Eastern, right? And I'm going, yeah, that's kind of enough.
Well,
2.5 hours on a basketball game. I'd say that's a long enough post-game show.
But you sort of said it. When you get in this business, you're wired a little different.
No
you
doubt
have
about
to
it.
be to love this stuff. I mean, there's a love of radio.
Right.
That you and I jumped into this business
all
those many years ago when we were young and thin.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a love of radio that the average person may not totally understand or want to know why in the world do we know that 700 is WLW and 1120's KMOX and 1210's, the old WCAU in Philadelphia. I mean,
that's right.
We're wired that way.
We dreamed of those opportunities, right? And the truth is,
we're not dreaming anymore.
Well, I saw a great interview with Taylor Swift. Okay, and she said,
gosh,
she said, so people say to me, it must be insane for you to be in the bubble you're in, blah blah blah. The security guard. She said, listen. She said, when people come up to me, and every once in a while when somebody's able to get a minute alone with me, which is, very
rare,
very infrequent. She said, I make as much time as I can because I'll never forget what it was like being a little girl in Reading, Pennsylvania, who dreamed of the opportunity to be right where I'm at. She said, and I closed my eyes and I saw where I am. She said, nobody else saw. I saw where I am. And she said, and I never ever take it for granted, not for 1 second. And I can relate to that, like we get to feeling sorry for ourselves. First of all, it's an unforgiving business. Second of all, we both been fired. Thirdly, if you haven't been in our business and you've never been fired, you don't exist. Fourthly, when you're in our business and you've been fired, and then you can kind of fight your way back a little bit and still realize you have something to say and people want to hear it.
Empowers.
Yeah, it's empowering and it's beautiful. And then to think that every Tuesday I'm on here looking at Kelly, I'll say this, Kelly, today you are engaged. You've drank your coffee.
You're engaged every day, Tony. Come on now. Every day, Hoss.
Last week when I was on here, you like you were in film study.
I'm just wondering if you watched your favorite UT quarterback of all time, Joe Milton. How did he do in the Senior Bowl?
This was not in any script.
Great question. No, you popped me there. You popped me. I didn't watch the Senior Bowl, but all the reports, I love some of the reports I saw. I was looking at something on like a Tennessee Reddit site, and they said Joe Milton looked like Joe Milton today. And then the guy went on to say, he had a good play. He did something that made you scratch your head. He did 4 or 5 things that were really stupid. And somebody going to take a chance on him. I mean, Kelly, if that guy plays in the NFL, I'm going to play in the NFL. He's got about as much chance as I do. No offense to him. That guy is a goofball. No,
they're talking about him on the internet, about one of the most physically gifted guys coming out in the draft this year. Unbelievable. Can he win or can he? You know what I'm saying?
I say this.
He only threw 5 interceptions in his career. Why do you hate on him so much?
That offense is so good because this guy's offense here is so good. Here's the deal. If the Savannah Bananas were going to start a football wing, he would be a great quarterback for that. Take the damn ball, throw it out into the parking lot, throw it over everything, throw it over the scoreboard, have somebody out there filming it, catching it. I've never seen an arm like that, Kelly. Have you?
So,
it's amazing.
Hey, Kelly, I got to read this. So normally when Tony comes on, I'll give Billy some pictures that I want him to put up there. The first was show pictures of Dartmouth logo, show pictures of Josiah Jordan James, show pictures of Dalton Connect, show pictures of Rick Barnes. So for that particular segment of our show,
it's done.
And by the way, that's a lesson, and that's a lesson to young kids. I always say this. I always feel like I feel like such an old person, but we're not. And George, you're not, and I'm not. We're just improving. And the truth is, when you start out doing this, don't get tied to a script. George is a Hall of Famer, and he responded to what's happening to him in real time. George, how many people don't do it, though? When I listen to people, even veteran people,
it's a great point.
They don't use their instincts. They don't use their instincts. It's maddening to me.
Billy, put yourself on here because I want you to admit that I have said this to you several times, that when stuff happens, you got to go with the flow.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That's what you got to do. I had all these pictures ready, but it's okay. We'll use them another
There's
time.
the script. So there was a day on the air where Shea Weber got traded to for PK Subban.
Canadians.
About 5 minutes before we go on the air. We've got all this football stuff, that supposedly we're doing, and shred it. I mean, this is a business where if it happens, you got to talk about it. You're exactly right.
Where is Shea Weber? Where does he rank, George, in Predator Pantheon?
He would definitely be on a Mount Rushmore. I think he was a very good captain.
They didn't do a ton of playoff winning.
Yeah,
that's right. They didn't.
Now, here's the thing about Shea. Shea was a lot more fun to talk to off of campus. I told him one time, I said, you're a miserable interview. But when I get you away from all that, you're fun to talk to. Huge baseball fan, big Blue Jays fan. Always wanted to talk Blue Jays.
Kelly would love hockey players. I don't know if Kelly's been around hockey players. Those are hardworking, blue-collar, no-nonsense, hard-charging, decent people, though. That will make time for you. As a media person, they'll make time for you.
Yeah, when I played in Buffalo, my son went to a little preschool, and he and one of the Sabres guys had a son there as well. And I think my wife was secretly in love with the guy because he was I don't know, but that's really the closest I've ever been to the hockey guys. You know what I'm saying? So his wife was pretty fine too, but I think my wife had a little bit of crush on him. So I don't know where this is going. You know what I'm saying?
Billy, put the comment up on the ghost of Majors. Okay, Tony, I've never told you this, and this will end the interview. When Johnny Majors was the coach at Tennessee, Joe Biddle, at the time either Banner or later Tennessean, was on my show and was for years. And Joe could really imitate him. You know, he had down all the, in my opinion, the Allegheny, the Monongahela, and the Percy Priest. Well, so one day we had a phone outside of our studio, it wasn't a pay phone, but it was a phone attached to a wall. So I had him bring an official's whistle in one day and call in as Majors. And so he gets on there, and I'm asking the same stupid stuff that I always did. Coach Majors, how are things going? All of a sudden, Joe blows that whistle, and he goes, Coach Avazano, get over here right now. And it was some of the funniest stuff I have. You talk about losing it during a show. But when I saw the ghost of Johnny Majors, I had to put that up there. Sorry to have kept you this long.
No, I love you.
Thank you. Man. This was great stuff.
Thank you. And it was a pleasure tearing up your script and all that good stuff. So thanks for indulging. Yeah.
I'll send it. I'll frame
calling
it.
An audible, Kelly. That's called
That's
going
right.
to the line. George read the keys.
You know what our audible what our audible color was? It was brown because that was crap that we were about to run, so we had to get out of it.
Is that really true?
Absolutely. Bruce Arians, back in Indianapolis, back in the day, it was brown. Yes, brown. Anytime we said brown, it was a check because that play we had was pretty crappy, and we're gonna totally go with another one.
I think he's calling your plans brown, George. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not trying to drive heat or drive a wedge between you guys, but
Tony, are you going to Brazil next year?
Brazil.
You know, a caller called me and asked me about that today, and I'll be really honest with you guys. I hadn't seen it till I didn't believe it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Don't know who they're playing, but they're going.
Brazil.
On a Friday night. Why is the NFL doing bits? What are we doing? And why are they doing it with my franchise? Yeah. Why don't they do it with your franchise? Or the damn Jaguars who could play half their games away. George, if the Jaguars played all their games over there, would anybody in Jacksonville miss them?
It doesn't appear that way.
They'd put about invisible.
They'd put a tarp all over the Gator Bowl.
Yeah, exactly.
That's messed up. That's bad.
We'll talk next week.
Appreciate y'all. Thanks.
That's called audible.
Yeah. Brown.
By the way, in case anybody was wondering, Tennessee beat Kentucky Saturday night.
How did we not talk about that at all?
Well, because what he had to say is really interesting stuff. We'll go to the break. I guess we'll do stat of the day. And then we're going to let you all hear a good little chunk of Roger the Dodger's press conference yesterday in front of select media. Would we have been one of those select media? Hell no. Stay tuned.
Hit After Hit has become the baseball store in Tennessee. They have over 1,000 different models of gloves and over 1,500 wood bats. They also have several Iron Mike pitching machines as well as a Hit Trax machine. If they don't have it, you probably don't need it. We're proud to call Hit After Hit the official shirt provider of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night.
For over 35 years, Wilson Bank & Trust has been committed to providing customized banking solutions to help individuals, families, and businesses in Tennessee achieve their goals. As your full-service community bank, we are proud to offer loans with competitive rates, local decision-making, and fast, friendly service from our experienced lenders. No matter where you are on your financial journey, Wilson Bank & Trust is ready to help you take the next step. Visit your nearest Wilson Bank & Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Forget the fact that Sir Speedy Music City is owned by my BGA classmate James Warren. Their work stands on its own merit. James and his staff do incredible work, as evidenced by the huge banners at the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. If you're looking for quality to help your marketing and business communications, and you want it at a reasonable price, these are your folks. Call them at 615-832-9511 or go to print at sirspeedymusiccity.com. And be sure to tell them Plaz sent you.
Over the years, more men have started to seek help for hormone deficiencies and imbalances, and Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and wife Daphne, along with their experienced staff, give men the treatment required to improve their quality of life, improve your immune system, energy level, cognitive function, and more. There's no better time to achieve a healthy lifestyle. What are you waiting for? Give Cool Springs MD a call today for an appointment at 615-486-3458 or visit the website coolspringsmd.com.
Convenience and value, two words that we expect when we do business. Our goal at JHA Company is to deliver just that, both to our school partners and to our customers. Whether you're purchasing photos, yearbooks, class jewelry, letter jackets, school spirit wear, or senior graduation products, we strive to make the experience easy, convenient, and cost-effective. Find out more at jhacompany.com or call 615-867-6345 for more information. JHA, one source, one company.
Top of the hour on a Tuesday. It's time for Stat of the Day before we check in with Roger the Dodger. John English Antique Sports and Cards. You can find them out in Shelbyville, 204 East Depot Street. They're open during the week, Tuesday through Friday from noon to 5, and Saturdays 10 a.m. to 5. Give them a call, 931-492-4304. All right, let's see what Matthew's got cooked up today, and I think we're going hockey. The Edmonton Oilers.
Wayne Gretzky.
The Edmonton Oilers are currently on a 16-game winning streak. They've got the chance to tie the longest win streak in NHL history tonight. What team holds the record for the longest win streak in the NHL?
You know, Kelly, I don't pretend to just know this.
Yeah.
Wouldn't the easy one be Montreal Canadiens, given how many Stanley Cups they've won in the past?
Canadiens.
Wouldn't that be the logical?
Absolutely. I think so.
Okay, let's do it then.
Incorrect.
Oh, the Penguins.
The 92-93 Penguins.
Would not have gotten that one. But that was Mario Lemieux. There were a couple of others in there as well that were pretty good. Hey, before we get into Goodell's press conference, give me a reaction or two, both of you, off what you've heard over the last 30, 35 minutes.
Talking about Tony?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think, let's face it, Tony's he went to Tennessee, lifelong Tennessee fan, and I can understand him in the first couple of days reacting how a lot of people did. This is a big nothing burger. They'll be fine. But as it kind of has dragged out for a couple weeks now, you're starting to think about what can happen actually, because Tennessee didn't just nip it in the bud. I mean, They tried, but the NCAA, I mean, they're coming back with something. It's not going to be nothing. So I don't think it's going to be anything major, but I do understand how, okay, it's starting to get real now. I mean, you gotta really start thinking about what could happen.
Yeah, I don't know, George. I have a real problem with all this stuff that's coming out in the NIL. They had no rules for it. They didn't think this thing through. They just threw it out there, and that's what bothers me. Like, why are you going after people now when you like? 2 years ago, this stuff was totally illegal. You could not do anything. You couldn't do anything without getting, investigated by the NCAA. And then, now they're trying to rein it back in. It was the Wild Wild West, and now they're trying to rein. I just don't understand that. I seriously, and you and Tony brought it up. I mean, I seriously don't understand why they're going after UT so bad. I don't get it, because you look at Texas A&M, you look at, I mean, he had a point. You look at Georgia, look at their NFL roster that they've had. I mean, there were things going on. Alabama, Nick Saban, I can't say, I don't think they were heavily involved in the NIL stuff, but I mean, you're getting players there now. Now, whether or not all that stuff took place, we're not behind closed doors. But I know that after a while, Nick Saban had such a reputation of getting guys to the National Football League. Recruiting took care of itself.
It does feel like
everybody wanted to go to Alabama. You know what I'm saying? So I just don't understand why they're trying to penalize UT, and maybe they're mad about the Jeremy Pruitt. So I don't know. I just don't understand it. It bothers me, but you can't rein it back in after you've already let it out of the bottle.
It does feel like Tennessee is kind of the whipping boy right now, and they have been. I mean, they haven't been. There's a lot of unclean universities. I'm not saying. I mean, Tennessee over the years, they haven't been clean necessarily. So they've kind of walked that line. And so I think Tennessee's an easy school to kind of attack, and there's going to be other schools, whether it's A&M or Ole Miss. Ole Miss, to me, I mean, that's a no-brainer what they've been doing right now. But again, we don't know what are they after Tennessee with. That's another thing we just don't really know.
Here's one of the things that is going to come out is that in the whole NIL world, transfer portal world, however you want to call this, there is more illegal tampering going on.
Oh, absolutely.
Take a stick at. And the rare school that isn't is probably losing because there is a ton of it going on.
I guarantee you that if a head coach is recruiting two kids from maybe the same high school or really good friends, and one of them goes to their team, I guarantee you that if the coach wanted that other kid, the coach is going to the kid that he got and saying, hey, give him a call. Is he happy? Is everything going well? We'll give him more. Tell him we'll give him more. I guarantee you that stuff's happening right now. It's just, I don't know. I'm not a fan of it, but that's where we are in the year 2024, and I don't know if it's going anywhere, George.
You remember, Billy, when I brought up the whole let's get a committee of CM Newton types in a room and see if we can come up with something better. We need that today worse than ever.
Yep.
Nick Saban.
I agree. I mean, get somebody like that. Nick Saban, some older guys that understand it, and put them on an advisory committee and say, hey, here's how you have to handle this stuff. Because you cannot tell me that Nick Saban did not retire, because just like George said, I didn't sign up for that. I'm not signing up for that.
Yeah, that was West Durham's line, and it's a good one.
It is a great one.
Most of the coaches didn't sign up for this.
Right.
And they're not very happy. None of them are going to say it. I wish some of the retired ones who have gotten out would say it. Jay Wright is, to me, the most obvious.
Yeah.
This guy at Boston College that just bolted for Green Bay, that one looks pretty obvious.
Yeah, because you're a head coach of a Division I college team, and I know you're going to the NFL, and maybe that was your aspiration, but you can't tell me that running my own program and I'm going to go follow somebody else's program. You can't tell me that wasn't the case.
Especially when you're not winning. Halfley had a bad year, and he was probably on thin ice. When you're winning, like Kirby Smart right now, he probably doesn't like it, but he's winning. But if this is like Clark Lee at Vanderbilt after a 2-10 year, he's not enjoying this either. But I think if you're winning, that kind of helps.
Winning masks certain diseases.
Yeah,
it does.
Okay, so Roger the Dodger held his annual State of the Union early last night in Vegas, about 5:00 Nashville time. The difference is it was an invitation to certain media only, and they caught some flack for that. But I also get that at the Super Bowl, you've got some whack jobs who will get in a room and ask some really stupid stuff. Some of you may not have heard a chunk of this, which is why I wanted to run that today, and then we'll comment on some of it. Here goes.
Well, I would give Mark Davis a lot of credit right off the top because I think before Mark even got here, he was talking about a Super Bowl. He believed this would be a great Super Bowl location. So when he got the relocation approval, that was one of the first things he started talking about is, well, when are we going to get a Super Bowl? And I said, Mark, we got to play a regular season game here first. But it's this stadium is extraordinary. You all were here. We can feel it. I think they've done an amazing job with that stadium, and that's our stage. So for us, the stadium is key. The city is key. This city really knows how to put on big events, and we've seen that. We feel it. We felt it all year from our fans. It is the number one place for visiting team fans to come to a game. So we knew this would be a popular place for it.
You don't have to be at a point in your life where you feel like you're
Well, it's our number one objective. This is true gambling and outside of gambling, right? The integrity of our game is critical. And so we spend a lot of time focusing on that, educating, making sure that all of our personnel are aware of our gambling policies in this case, or any other policy that can affect the integrity of our game. So ultimately, that's our primary job. This week coming in here, we wanted to make sure not just the two teams, but every other club will likely have representatives here. We wanted to make sure they understood it, our league staff and everyone else, so they understood exactly what the policies were. And they all understand the importance of it. We clarified our policy earlier this year, and it was to put the importance for our players that betting on NFL games or inside information or anything that would negatively impact the integrity of our game is absolutely off limits.
Let's talk about ratings right now. Both championship games, over 50 million viewers. What do you attribute those record-breaking numbers to? And in all honesty, how much is it the Taylor Swift
event? I would tell you it's because of the great competition. Listen, the competition has been off the charts this year. We've had 70 games that I think 70% of our games have been within one score in the fourth quarter. The young stars, the older stars, the amazing performances by teams, you see all that. That's what fans ultimately love. Having the Taylor Swift effect is also a positive. Listen, they're both Travis and Taylor are wonderful young people. They seem very happy. She knows great entertainment, and I think that's why she loves NFL football. But I think it's great to have her a part of it. Obviously, it creates a buzz. It creates another group of young fans, particularly young women, that are interested in seeing, why is she going to this game? Why is she interested in this game? Besides Travis, she is a football fan. And I think that's great for us.
What do you say to those who think it's all scripted by the NFL?
I don't think I'm that good a scripter or anybody on our staff. I think it's, listen, there is no way that I could have scripted that one. Let's just put it that way. But she is, or anybody in our office, she's a remarkable performer. She knows great entertainment. I had the opportunity to go to 2 of her concerts with our girls and my wife. She's the best of the best, and so having her come to NFL games, have her a part of that, is nothing but a positive.
Let's move on to officiating. A lot of scrutiny again this season. What are you doing to assess the officials and to improve their credibility?
We even had scrutiny yesterday in the Pro Bowl games. I think, listen, in professional sports and all sports, officiating is part of that. I think in the NFL, the level of scrutiny is at the highest I've ever seen it. And that's part of our popularity. I understand that. It's part of the technology. You all do such a great job that you see more than you could ever see in officiating. The game is faster. I think our officials do a great job. They are superior. But at the end of the day, no one's perfect, whether it's all of us that watches the games or play the games or coach the games or the officials. We have to continue to try to get better. We have to use technology where we can to try to improve their performance, let them use technology to make sure they get the right answer. But I think they do an incredible job, but we're going to keep working to get better ultimately. I think you've exceeded all expectations on every level. I think the stadium is extraordinary. I think the fan support here is nothing short of a miracle and positive. There's so many fans who like to come in from out of town here. I couldn't think of a negative thing about it. I think Las Vegas has also done an extraordinary job with this city, with the ability to host these big events, the ability to attract people here for a lot more than what people used to. People used to say this was just a gambling town. This is an entertainment town. This is a sports town. It's an event town. We're seeing that in the Super Bowl. And this doesn't happen without people who know how to do that. So from the governor to the county commissioners to the Convention and Visitors Bureau to the Super Bowl host committee, all done an extraordinary job. And that makes us feel much more comfortable here, because the challenges of putting on an event like this, whether you're in Las Vegas or any other city, are enormous. And there's why we don't sleep until Monday night when we get everybody out of town. Good, Jason. Yeah, Jason, I'd say the same thing I said to you all last year and the year before. We still have a lot of work to do. We are not satisfied where we are. We think that diversity is very good for us as a league. It's made us better. It gives opportunities to talented people. I think the hiring cycle was obviously encouraging from the head coaching standpoint. As you point out, we don't look at this just in the coaching level or offensive coordinators. We look at this across the board. We look at this from coaching to ownership to presidents to general managers, and we've seen extraordinary progress in all of that. And that's the effort that we've had with our clubs. I give our clubs tremendous credit. I think the process that they went through in the hiring cycle for coaches and general managers this year was very thorough, very professional. I think the delay by 1 week gave teams a chance to do that, because I don't think people think about our hiring cycle. Every one of those teams is competing against somebody else and another team. And sometimes you get in that rush. I don't think people felt that. I think people took the time. They understood the candidates. They did an excellent job of interviewing them. We had panels, we had education. I think the accelerator program, I think all the things that were done by the clubs over the last several years paid dividends, and we'll continue that. Well, those are two different things. You know, not having it be necessary would be a wonderful world for us. I personally believe that it's still necessary, because I think we want to show the benefits of looking at a diverse slate of candidates. To be able to do that is benefited every one of our clubs, our league office, I think our partners, I think people across the world in different industries have absolutely adopted this rule. And so I see it for the foreseeable future. I think it's been beneficial. We'll continue. Mark, we said last year, first off, as you know, this was a 1-year rule. For me, I thought this rule was necessary for the 1 year because we need to innovate. We need to work with our coaches and our competition committee and those across the league to find a way to keep the kickoff in the game. It's an exciting play. It's important for us. The same for punts. But when you see a higher injury rate for that play, you can't ignore that. And we haven't yet found that solution. And I think we've proven over the last several years, you can make the game safer and more exciting at the same time. And that's our objective here. And I'm confident we'll get to that. It's going to take a little work, but this is a 1-year rule, so I hope that will be a major focus this spring. That's a shocker, JB.
Battling back.
You want to do your second question too? You want me to go first? Okay. Listen, this has been a major focus, as you know, with our union, with the Players Association, and we have jointly worked with experts to try to study this question. It's something that I think it's not always just grass or synthetic. We think hybrid is something to really explore. That's actually what they use in international soccer, is a hybrid type of format. Additionally, I think we've got to look at different circumstances, right? You play in a dome for 4.5 months. It's pretty hard to grow grass. So you can sometimes take it in and out. You can find ways of trying to replace that. But we want to try to get the best possible field surfaces. And that is something that it varies from market to market, climate from climate. One of the things that we think is really important in the studies that we're doing is consistency. And when I say consistency, it's not just on the entire playing surface, but it's consistency of what players are playing on during the week leading up to the game, what they're practicing on, and what they play on. And that consistency is really important, according to our engineers and our experts. So we're looking at that with the Players Association and hope we can find better solutions and continue that focus.
Okay, we're going to go to a break on that. I had hoped that we would get to the gambling stuff, which I happened to watch a bunch of this last night, so I knew where it was coming from. Anyway, we will talk all this stuff, give you a little bit of reaction to stuff we heard, stuff we didn't hear. Stay tuned. The George Plaster Show is Nashville's best sports talk, 2 to 4 p.m. Monday through Friday on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. There's a podcast version available on Spotify and Apple Podcast.
It was the most horrible experience that any mother could ever go through. I knew that I needed to get help. My friend, she immediately said, "You need to call Bart Durham." And you guys were there within an hour. You guys are like family for us.
Yeah, sure is nice to connect with the people that you're doing your best to help.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
Looking for more than just awards and trophies? Southern Trophy House is your one-stop solution. For over 60 years, their team has created lasting impressions with a personalized touch. From embroidery to screen-printed apparel to corporate awards, signs, and name badges, they have everything you need to keep your brand shining bright. With their knowledgeable customer service team, you can relax as they create, produce, pack, and ship merchandise and awards on time and on budget. That includes etched crystal awards, custom-cut acrylic, name badges, embroidered Richardson ball caps, banners, screen-printed T-shirts, laser-engraved Yeti cups, and knives. Recognize your hard-working team from Southern Trophy House, where they do their best to help you recognize your best. Located at 2705 Nolensville Pike in Nashville, give them a holler, 615-256-7295. Visit southerntrophy.com. Southern Trophy House, for all your personalization and recognition needs.
Okay, let's start a little bit of commentary with this. Kelly, Billy, would you all agree that under Roger Goodell, the NFL has made a lot of strides in a lot of areas?
I agree with that. Yeah, I do agree with that. I think safety is a big issue that everybody, because I've talked about it on the show before. You look at the numbers of high school kids not playing football anymore from 10 years ago to now. It's kind of revealing about how many kids are not playing. So I love the game of football. I played the game of football. It gave me everything I've gotten. I'm in the Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame because of football. So I want it to stick around. It's by far the biggest game in this country right now, and they are definitely. I mean, they're using Taylor Swift a little bit to get the numbers back up, but man, it's a cash cow right now, and I think that they started. But they've got to get kids interested in the game, and the safety of it has to be the utmost importance. And I think they're doing a good job of that. You're seeing some of the shoulder pads they're making. They've got sensors in them. They've got these new helmets that, are kind of they're so the technology in them is so unbelievable. And I tell people this all the time, George. Like soccer has more concussions than football, but people don't see it that way. It's not perceived that way because football is such a violent sport. And I think the safety issues that they're coming up with are really good. I mean, I know that he's got a lot of people that's backing that, but I think they're doing a really good job with that. And you heard him talk about turf against grass. And I'm a grass guy. It costs more money to keep the grass fields up. I totally understand that. But just like my son went up to the Meadowlands, and this was right after Aaron Rodgers had his Achilles ruptured, and Jameson told me, he's like, "Dad, this is a really sticky turf." And I don't know, I've never been on one of those hybrid deals that he was talking about, but just some of the stuff that I get on my NFL stuff that they send out, it seems like they're going after these turf fields. I think that they obviously have done studies on them and seeing the injuries to the non-injuries and things that are happening on those turf fields. And for me, grass is better to play on, but I know it's not as cost effective. But I like the things that he's doing and the league is doing with safety.
Yeah, player safety isn't just, if you were to write down top 5 things in his priority list, it's not number 3, number 4. I mean, you could say that's 1 or 2, player safety for him. And I mean, the concussion stuff, everything with that, and I think it has made the game safer even after the DeMar Hamlin situation and all kinds. You'll have stuff every year where, this game's not safe enough. Well, I mean, you can only do so much to try to make it safer, and I think he's done that. Officiating is another thing. He did talk about officiating, and he kind of laughed at there's been scrutiny. Well, there's scrutiny after every game. These are fanatics, right? But he said basically that what he's instituted, whether it's been instant replay or the more full-time officials too. I mean, you'll have the best officials for the Super Bowl, but I mean they're working every day. It's not like they're just throwing out these random officials. And obviously you got to scout them too. So I think the officiating, with the replacement refs, how far we've gone after that. I mean, you're always going to have gripes about officials, but overall, I do think Roger Goodell has done a good job.
Here is the area, Kelly, where I think he's gone too far. And you hear me yap about this a lot. This is a league with its TV packages that is making a bloody fortune.
Yeah.
And yet it never seems like enough is enough. We've got a Thursday night package, and I'm not going to be two-faced about it. I love Thursday night football, but I also see the player side to it of having to get back off the mat. This is not like playing tennis.
No.
This is a violent sport.
Yeah.
You're asking people 3 days later to be ready. For me, it would be an automatic if I was commissioner, and God help us if that happens, that the teams that play on Thursday night have a bye the next week. That they're given that's how you decide the bye weeks. The Thursday night schedule. This Friday thing is BS. That ought to now colleges blurred it a long time ago, and shame on them as well. Friday night ought to be high school football. The Friday Black Friday deal on Amazon, it just feels like the Peacock thing to me is a crock. They basically got in bed with Peacock trying to build up that network with a gimmick one-time payment. And I just think that they're making too much money to resort to this stuff.
The 17th game, too.
Yes.
Did we really need a 17th game? I mean,
no.
I don't understand that either. So, I mean, there's good and bad.
Well, it's a give and take between the owners and the players. That's how all that comes out, because the owners make all the money in preseason, which they don't make much money. I mean, I'm sure they make some on TV, but they get all that money. They don't have to pay players, so they're not going to get away from those preseason games, which that's what everybody wants. Like the preseason thing, like for the most part, every coach and every organization knows who's going to be on that team. Now, every now and then you're going to have one or two kids that kind of surprise you that really don't know anything about them, and they come on and they're players. But for the most part, there's a lot of camp meat out there, which kind of sucks, because I remember being in that position, but they're not going to give that up. And that's what I think the players wanted, like 2 preseason games, but they're not going to give that up. They're going to have those preseason games, and if they're going to do that, then they're going to have another game. So it's all going to add up in the end, Billy. It really is, because it's all about money. I mean, that's what it boils down to.
Well, and the other thing is the gambling.
Absolutely.
And I think you were going to bring this up, George, but these pictures, I mean, all these sports books, and they'll be there in Vegas, and obviously they'll be active, but they're so strict on the players and how they can gamble, what they can't gamble, what they can gamble. I don't even think they can, right? If you're a player.
No, you can't. I mean, you're not supposed to, and you can't do it on facilities, which I totally understand that.
Yeah. But on the other side, they're making all this money, and they're not going to turn down. It's like, you can't, as fans, you can't bet on NFL games. It just feels a little hypocritical.
Two-faced.
Yeah.
It's a little two-faced.
And I don't know how you solve that. Like, I don't have.
By the way, in that picture, which hotel is that?
Man, I don't know. I'm trying to look for a logo. That looks incredible, though.
It may well be Caesar's Palace, but if it is, boy, it has changed.
When are we going?
Over the years? You're not going.
Oh, George, I'm 21.
Yes, you are. It requires money. So, Kelly, let me ask you this. A player today, in the NFL rules, are they allowed to bet on other sports?
I don't know about the rules, George. I know that we had that earlier in the year. You can't do it on a team facility. That's for sure.
Okay, I get that.
You're not supposed to. I don't think you're supposed to, especially on your team. Which we all get that. We totally get that. But there's some guys that I played with, man, that were some gambling freaks. Now they would go to Cincinnati on the boat when I was in Indianapolis. They would go every Tuesday. I mean, they're always going to find ways to do it. I can remember when I was at a team.
Old boat days.
Oh, absolutely. I can remember being on a team, and I was well up into my years, and I thought to myself, man, the game has certainly passed me by, because we had a lunch break and those guys were shooting dice in the locker room, and they were gambling on that stuff. I mean, like it happens, and for them to say that it doesn't happen is very ludicrous, because guys do, when you come into some money, guys get in trouble. I've had some friends that had to have some interventions because they got really wrapped up in that stuff, and they lost a lot of money, and it was putting pressure on their marriage, which a lot of them divorced, and it's just not a good thing. And that's why, I'm glad that the person that was doing the moderating for that deal with Roger Goodell, I'm glad she started off with, this city used to be taboo. And now we've allowed all the betting. It's like the NIL and NCAA. Like, this was years ago. This was considered, hey, we can't do that. No betting. But now they're making so much money from all these betting companies that they've just given in, and they say, hey, we're going after the almighty dollar. And now, I mean, we're having a Super Bowl in Las Vegas, George. Can you believe that?
Who would have thought? So players are allowed to bet on non-NFL events with legal sports books, but all other league personnel, including coaches, officials, and trainers, are not allowed from all sports betting.
So here's one area, Kelly. Say that again. Say that last part again.
Players can, but people in the organization can't.
Coaches, officials, and trainers are prohibited from all sports betting.
That's crazy, dude.
But I don't.
It's interesting
because they throw their hands up in the air, Billy. Because players are going to do it. That's why they've done it. That's why they do it. Sorry, George.
Players union should have stood up. And look, there's no question the baseball union is way more powerful than football.
No question.
We've seen that in some pretty damaging cases. Players union should have said to the NFL, you're not taking a penny off this stuff. If you are going to suspend our people, ban them for a year, then by God, you aren't taking a cent, because what you're doing is two-faced and you can't have it both ways.
Absolutely.
And then you would have heard the crying of the poverty. Oh, how could we ever make it? Yeah.
It's hard because
I'd like to have that problem.
These sports books they're allowing fans to bet on the NFL games. So does the NFL not? how much does the NFL get is what I'm wondering.
Well, they're getting what they're getting is when you hear whichever one it is, say the official gaming.
Saying why do they even have that?
Well, I'm saying that
why do they need an official sports book?
Well, you don't need it, but when you're thrown that kind of money, Billy, if somebody wants to come say we're the official lighting of the George Plaster show, well, guess what? We're going to take it.
Thank you.
Right. So, but if you're in the NFL, can you really blame them for? I know we're saying it's two-faced, but it's just hard to.
Oh, I better be very careful here. That was Billy. This league is making a fortune. And the players should have stood up and said, if you're going to suspend and ban, you are not taking a cent from these companies.
Ain't gonna happen.
That's just my opinion.
No, it's not gonna happen, guys. That's just it's funny how though that just reading that, Billy, like players can gamble, but management, people in the organization, they can't. Like, what are we doing here? Like, that you can't stop the players from gambling. They can't. It's always happened. I can remember being on plane rides, man, and there was a stack. Here was the table, and there was a stack of $100 bills like this on plane rides. Come on, man.
On games, though.
You got to understand though. You can't bet on your own games. You can't bet on NFL games. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Because you might have some insider information. Yeah, I totally get that. But you're not going to stop guys from gambling. They got a little bit of money. If they want to gamble, they can gamble. You're not going to stop that. It's been around forever. And for the NFL, if they're saying that they didn't have a problem way back when, they're fooling themselves.
Speaking of which, Plaster Bet of the Day is coming up after the break. We're in the middle of a one-game winning streak, and pathetically, based on the last few weeks, that feels pretty good. Please stay with us. Venture Express has been helping people in this area for more than 40 years. They're headquartered in Murfreesboro with over 30 years of dedicated fleets involving production, manufacturing, and corrugated experiences. They're an asset-based company with over 700 tractors, 4,000 trailers, and 800 drivers. If you need their help, dial them up 615-793-9500 or log on to ventureexpress.com. Star Physical Therapy was established in 1997 with one great mission: to serve. If you're hurting, don't wait to receive physical therapy. You don't need a referral to see their physical therapist, and early morning and evening appointments are available. Make the call to 615-673-1420 and get rid of that pain. Star Physical Therapy, the official health provider of Football Friday.
Convenience and value, two words that we expect when we do business. Our goal at JHA Company is to deliver just that, both to our school partners and to our customers. Whether you're purchasing photos, yearbooks, class jewelry, letter jackets, school spirit wear, or senior graduation products, we strive to make the experience easy, convenient, and cost-effective. Find out more at jhacompany.com or call 615-867-6345 for more information. JHA, one source, one company.
You know, starting to save for your future doesn't have to be difficult. Let Wilson Bank and Trust help tone up your financial goals this year. Our certificates of deposits or CDs can help your money work harder with our competitive rates, earning you more than ever before. WBT checking options allow you to earn rewards you can really use, like a high interest rate or cash back on check card purchases when you meet some e-banking qualifications. Visit your closest Wilson Bank and Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC.
Over the years, more men have started to seek help for hormone deficiencies and imbalances, and Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and wife Daphne, along with their experienced staff, give men the treatment required to improve their quality of life, improve your immune system, energy level, cognitive function, and more. There's no better time to achieve a healthy lifestyle. What are you waiting for? Give Cool Springs MD a call today for an appointment at 615-486-3458 or visit the website coolspringsmd.com.
Forget the fact that Sir Speedy Music City is owned by my BGA classmate James Warren. Their work stands on its own merit. James and his staff do incredible work, as evidenced by the huge banners at the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. If you're looking for quality to help your marketing and business communications, and you want it at a reasonable price, these are your folks. Call them at 615-832-9511 or go to print at sirspeedymusiccity.com. And be sure to tell them Plaz sent you.
Good hoop slate tonight. Got Kentucky Vandy, 7:30. Ole Miss is at South Carolina. Clemson at North Carolina tonight at 6. Butler, a team sneaky upset bid maybe tonight against UConn. And then you've also got Texas Tech and Baylor. A lot of good action tonight. We'll see where George is going. But first, Bart Durham injury log. Give him a call. Best in the business, 615-242-9000 or log on to bartdurham.com. All right. Last night, KState.
Yeah, we need it.
I knew that was going to happen.
Oh, here we go.
Come on, Kelly. You didn't know that was going to happen?
Billy, come on, dude. You had no clue.
Kelly, did you even watch?
I did watch it. You had no clue, though. Quit acting like that.
I said yesterday.
You were rooting for Kansas, weren't you?
Me? No, I didn't care. I just wanted to see a good game.
Really, you're quite the sportsman. So riding this big one-game winning streak,
yes,
I've picked 3 games. Tuesday has become the old Wednesday. There are more midweek good games on Tuesday night than I can ever remember in the past.
Mm-hmm. Well, they put only women on Thursday, so they kind of moved a lot of the. Don't play on Thursday. The men don't anymore, which I just realized.
Caitlin Clark.
Yeah. The women's game has gotten.
Yeah. I mean, who's to argue it? The ratings have been pretty darn good, or they wouldn't be doing it.
Billy, do you watch women's games?
I mean, like South Carolina, LSU a couple weeks ago. Caitlin, I don't watch much Iowa, but come March, I'll watch.
Okay.
Now, I mean, come on, Kelly. It's good basketball.
For you. It is good basketball. I agree. I mean,
I don't care. I mean, it's good basketball.
I enjoy watching my daughter play. I do, and she hadn't been able to play this year. So,
yeah.
Where do you go from there? You know what I'm saying?
How are they doing?
Not as good as they did last year.
How is she doing?
She's doing well. I mean, she's doing pretty good. She's ahead of schedule. She's practicing a little bit. Played a little one-on-one the other day. She's been shooting for a while. It's hard for her to cut. So I'm not sure she's going to come back this year. She may take a medical red shirt and play next year. She's worried about, her being too old in college. And I told her, I'm like, baby, you only get to go around this life one time. I mean, who cares what people think? Don't worry about if you're 30 years old and playing college basketball. It doesn't matter. I mean, if you're still eligible, go do it.
There's a ninth year senior somewhere.
I know somewhere. It's crazy.
Card. Okay, so the first one up is a strange one. But
the old school
Georgia Tech at home has beaten Duke, and they've beaten North Carolina.
Yeah.
Who's to say they don't topple Wake Forest?
Damon Stoudemire.
Who's to say?
Who's to say?
Yeah.
We'll know around 6 o'clock.
That's in Atlanta, right?
Yes. Yep. Okay, that's my first one. Here's the second one. I can't figure Texas out. Whatever. Iowa State's got a different symbol for that. Thank you,
You're
Billy.
You're going to see some horns down.
Absolutely. Texas, to me, has been just good enough to be okay, but not as good as I thought they would be. They're at home tonight against an Iowa State team that has kicked butt at home. At the Hilton Center, they have been terrific. On the road, like most teams, not the same stuff. We're going Texas for one reason. It's in Austin. Third play, BYU.
Brigham Young.
BYU, if you haven't seen them, really good. The O in Oklahoma stands for overrated.
Oh, wow.
Oklahoma is overrated. BYU.
So you're not a Sooners guy, huh?
Not this team,
Okay.
No.
All right.
Oklahoma's not in right now, are they?
No, I don't think so.
BYU is.
I
think so.
Yeah.
They've been pretty good. By the way, their home games, they're drawing about 21,000.
Yeah.
At BYU?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they're killing it.
Big 12 is unbelievable with what they've added, BYU and UCF, Houston, too.
I need 2 out of 3 tonight.
Then
I'll start to get some confidence.
You ever been to Provo, Utah, George?
No, I have not.
It's a pretty place.
Is it?
Oh, yeah, it's beautiful.
I tell you what, you go back for me.
Nah, I tell you what, I don't care to go again.
Okay, well, then, not exactly a resounding endorsement.
Nice.
It's a beautiful place, but I mean, I'm just saying.
I'm sure it is. Got a lot of mountains.
I don't have to go back.
Yeah. I guess you fly over it on the way to Vegas. So maybe I have been there. We're done for today. Tomorrow, a lot of stuff on the show. A lot of stuff. Tim Couch, Kelly's teammate, now in the National Football Foundation. No, excuse me, College Football Hall of Fame.
Correct.
When is the ceremony?
To get in there? I'm not sure. I haven't asked him. I'm not sure about that. Do you still have his email address, Billy?
I think I do. Yeah.
Okay. Well, you got to send him something because he said he's going to. Yeah. Just let me know and I'll get it.
Taylor Barnett will join us. We'll talk not only about tonight's Kentucky Vandy game, but tomorrow night's Murray State Belmont game. Billy, I'd like for you to go over to the Curb Center tonight since you reported that there would be a game, and let us know exactly what you see when you get there.
I'll go say
he's camping out, man. He's going to take his tent because it's going to be a sellout.
Shashevskyville. We're out of here. See you tomorrow. Thanks for joining us.
See ya.
See ya.